Welcome, my friends, to my quick review of the unboxing and testing of this Seagate Expansion 24 TB external hard drive. It's a USB 24 terabyte. It seemed to me like the best price, best bang for the value, because the 28 terabyte looks like for 4 more terabytes. Maybe the 28 terabyte is a pretty reasonable deal too. Anyways, to me, the 24 terabyte seemed good enough, and I think I bought this unit for a little bit cheaper than $329. Oh, that's kind of nice. For $249, a 22 terabyte. That's kind of a nice deal. That's very nice. So, best of my understanding is that inside this unit is Samsung Exos. Why does this guy advertise? Windows 11, you suck. Is an Exos 24 terabyte SSD drive. Not an SSD drive, basically a NAS drive. This is the way that Amazon sent it. It didn't come in any extra packaging, so it got banged around and it got hit pretty hard. So the reason also I'm doing this review is I gotta test this out anyway, so that within the 30 days I would be able to return it if it doesn't work. I think at the time I bought it, it might have been like $299 plus tax. So $329 is an okay deal too. It looks like the 24 and the 28 terabyte, might as well maybe go for the 28 terabyte is better. I just figured 24 terabyte because it's like 3 8 terabyte drives you could back up. So this is the unboxing experience. Let's just unbox this baby. So let's just hope this thing can actually come nicely. Okay. So nice plastic box over here. We're gonna test if it actually turns on. So you can see the drive in there. It has a nice little padding caddy. So I guess it's kind of cool because if it gets smashed or smacked around, maybe that makes it safe. Maybe not. I don't know. This side has some sort of aluminum stuff there. It looks like it's a 12 volt power supply. We're gonna see. We're also gonna see the power it takes when you just plug it in and when you plug it into the computer, because those are important factors if you have it on 24/7. So it comes with a whole bunch of different adapters things. So if you want to travel the world, you could use those adapters. So we're just going to take the original adapter and plug it in. I could just probably plug it into the 12 volt of my thing. So that's not the one. Let's see. So this looks like the guy and not this. Okay, this looks like the guy. Let's see. This guy pushes off here. And this guy just plugs in here. Okay. So great. So it says output 12 volts, 1.5 amps, 18 watts. So I don't think it would take 18 watts. However, I don't know. So to test it, we're going to use this Energizer bank because it has an AC an AC plug. You can plug it in right here. And then we could use that to power it on. So when you just plug it in, it takes 0 watts. Okay, that's good to know. Hopefully it works. Now let's see. So we're just doing this test as I got it. I am not sponsored. I paid for my own unit. So what did I think about this unit? Well, I was just looking for a cheap enough 24 terabyte drive. It looks like a USB 3.0 connection. That's more than fine because this is not supposed to do more than 200 megabytes a second. So let's plug it in. So now it boots up. So when the computer is not turned on, it doesn't take any watts. When it is powering on, it jumps up to 24 watts, it looks like. So now let's see it coming up on the PC. this PC, and it's supposed to come up anytime now. Okay. Okay, so now the expansion. So this is the expansion. It has startup Win and Mac app. Let's see what this app says. So it looks like the drawing rate is about 8 watts an hour it would take if your PC is on 24/7. If you're using it kind of like as a NAS drive for your, let's say, movie collection of like ripped DVDs that you have that you legally own. So all it does is take you to a website. So Seagate website. So it looks like you can sign up to stuff. Perhaps this is to sign up to the warranty service. It's actually decently quiet. There is a slight yellow hum, and now it's taking 0 watts. Why does it do that? Does it spin down? Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to test from an SSD drive. This is supposed to, I was just copying files to it at 600 megabytes an hour, megabytes a second, and it's the films, the videos that I made for the YouTube channel. So I figured I should have a cheap way to back it up. So now let's see. Open to the view. So now it loads up. Let's do Control C, and now let's go to the expansion, and let's do Control V. So right now we're transferring 725 gigabytes, and the speed is looking actually pretty good. We're looking at 240 megabytes a second, and taking 10 watts from the wall. Huh. Interesting. Let's see. Do I have enough juice to power this guy up for the whole time? It's not telling me. Okay. Hour and 5 minutes. So I'm seeing 255 megabytes sustained write. So mind you, this drive is a lot more expensive. This one was, I think, $250, right? For a 4 terabyte drive. And this was like $330 for a 24 terabyte drive. So this guy is about 4 times more expensive, and maximum biggest size you can get for an SSD is 8 terabytes, at least for the commercially available ones. I am liking this 230 megabytes sustained writing. So what I think I should do is I'm going to let it copy over the 700 gigabytes over, and I'll check up on it and see if it like fails or if it makes any weird noises or something like that. But overall, I would say this drive is extremely quiet. I'm hearing barely like I'm hearing a slight hum. I'm hearing a kind of like but I'm not hearing any weird clicky noises or something like that. So apparently when it's idle, it's taking about 8 watts. When it's just connected to power, it's not powered on. See, it just dropped down to 3 watts. So it looks like this unit takes 10 watts from the wall. So maybe if you connect it to DC directly, if you use the USB-C to 5521 converter. By the way, they have these things. Power delivery allows you to take 12 volts out of this. So you could do 55 USB-C to 5521. This little circular plug is usually a 5521. Some heavier duty ones, like a laptop, would be a 5525. So it has a slightly bigger central contact point allowing to do that. So I'm not seeing it drop below 230 megabytes a second about. It's hovering around 229, 230. So this is like a real life test that you would be doing. Like, what would you be using a 24 terabyte drive for? I'm going to tell you what I think it's useful for. When I copy over the files, my plan is to actually flash this to use the BitLocker on it and to encrypt this drive so that the backup files wouldn't be able to be accessed without a password. So that you would need a password in order to access the files on it. Now I am hearing a little bit of a clicking. Like the head is like moving around, is writing the data to it sequential. So where this would not be so good is that if you have tiny files. I think when you have big files like video files, like you were doing video editing and you were backing it up to it, I think that's a lot easier. Let's see. The SSD you could drop as many times as you want usually, unless like you break the port, you're gonna be fine. You're always gonna have a higher speed, I guess, with an SSD. But at the same time, it depends on the port that you have on your computer. So if this is a 10 gigabit port, it can't do more than, let's say, more than 700-800 megabytes a second. That's why 650 megabytes for this is good. Unless you're using like a Thunderbolt or a USB 4 drive, which MacBooks can handle. So that could do probably 1 gigabyte to 2 gigabytes a second, instead of like 1,000 megabytes to 2,000 megabytes a second, as opposed to this. So those could be much faster. However, we're talking about the price for the value. So once in a while, let's say you have a NAS and you wanted to back up your entire NAS, you would be able to back it up to it. There's some free backup software where you could take, like let's say a NAS drive and have it automatically synchronize it. So that's nice. So BitLocker this guy. And then let's say if you're traveling, you're not worried about this, thing falling into the wrong hands. Let's say you have important company documents or something like that. You wouldn't be so worried about it. So if you have like spreadsheets and stuff, like very tiny files, I would probably recommend using an SSD drive like this. A 4 terabyte most of the time is more than enough for that. But if you have a lot of video files, if you do a lot of video editing, these video files could be 10, 17 gigabytes. See, like, it's ridiculous amounts of sizes. So that's why the YouTube channel videos are taking up 700 gigabytes. And that's not the original files anyway. That's not the raw files that I copied over for the iPhone. It looks like it's working. So I'm just going to get to the conclusion so this way I wouldn't have to cut too many clips together. The past 10-15 minutes, it's been working out the box. This is it operating at the highest working rate. It's taking 10 watts from the wall. It might take 0 watts if you have it spin down, if you're not like using the drive. The minus is that if you drop this drive, it could break it. If you drop this drive, it probably won't break. It will probably survive anything. This drive is much bigger. This is older technology, but you're talking about much bigger space capacity. 240 megabytes a second, I think that's very reasonable rate. So this rate is good for things, let's say you make a server PC. You have a server PC and you have 4 of these 4 terabyte drives connected to it, 24 terabyte drives connected to it. You can have a server PC that's like a laptop with 4 USB ports, or you could just take a USB hub and connect it, and you would be able to, with a 2.5 gigabit hub, 2.5 gigabit is probably going to be the full rate of the transfer of this. So this way you could have a network attached storage with drives that are encrypted, so you could always take the drives with you in case you were like migrating or traveling, stuff like that. You don't have to worry about the files. See, that's my issue with having these what are those things? NAS operating systems, TrueNAS, OnRaid, and Ubuntu and stuff like that. One of the things I haven't noticed about them talk about much, or I just don't know too much about it, is that it's complicated to encrypt them. With Windows, you just right-click BitLocker, turn on BitLocker, it does its thing, and now all of a sudden this drive requires a password in order for you to access the files on it. That's really decent. Also, if I understand it correctly, Seagate doesn't make anything but Exos drives anyway at this capacity. So you'll know that you're actually getting CMR instead of SMR. CMR is conventional magnetic recording, if I understand it correctly. So the files aren't overlapping each other. So the transfer rates should be much better. If you have SMR drives, which happens with drives that are below 10 or 12 gigabytes, I think both with Western Digital and maybe Seagate also. So when you have a 24 terabyte drive, you're probably getting the best of the best. Also, considering how much NAS drives are, if you buy this as a separate NAS drive brand new, it could be even $400 or $500. This drive, it looks like it survived fine, being sent over, and Amazon, like without a shipping box, without any padding, and the corner being knocked like really heavily. It looks like it's doing the transfer very fine. Like we're sitting here together and you've been watching this, it probably is visible for you. But for me, it's visible. It's 240 megabytes a second it's doing. So, like, would I recommend this drive to somebody? I would say yeah. It's very easy to use, plug and play. Just set it up in Windows, do the password on it, the BitLocker for the password. For BitLocker, you would want Windows Pro. So Windows 10 Pro, Windows 11 Pro. I made a whole video about upgrading from Windows 11 Home to Pro for like $16. Check out my playlist. I do show you how to update it to the higher version. That's what I did. This laptop came with Windows 11 Home, and I upgraded it to Pro. There's a specific thing you got to do because it wasn't letting me, it wasn't accepting the Windows 11 Pro key right away from me. And I show you also the website where you could buy the key. So let's see. No, this is definitely not the drives of the yesteryear. I've been mostly into SSDs the past couple years, but just the bulk capacity that you could get with one of these drives as opposed to an SSD is just really amazing. I doubt there would be a much difference. I'm not seeing anything like turning off. I'm not seeing anything breaking. This is a brand new laptop, by the way, with Windows 11, so I'm probably showing you like what a regular person would do. They have a backup, like they have files, they were video editing on their laptop, or they had it on an SSD, they back it up, and that's it. So I do have it linked to Amazon. That's where I bought mine below. I bought mine on Amazon because of the easy returns. So maybe with other stores it's pretty easy to return it. I just buy so much from Amazon, and they just give you a free label to return things that don't work. And we see that this unit does work out the box and does work as intended. And I don't have anything. I don't have any extra fan. My PC is fanless. I don't have any fan. I mean, like, you could hear it, yes, but I wouldn't say it's any high-pitched whining noise and something like that. What I'm picturing it is using a tiny mini PC like this in the closet, boom. Put a mini PC in the closet, and you could have it all run from one power bank. There's a USB-C to 12-volt converter, and you could probably run this off USB-C. From a USB-C to 12-volt converter, connect to this. You could connect 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive, 4 drive. This has 2.5 gigabit LAN, and because it does 250 megabytes a second, you would be able to access this drive at 250 megabytes a second, and this could be sitting in the closet. This PC at idle, I think, takes like 12 or 14 watts. So you could access it anytime, and you could probably have more than 48 terabytes, more than 96. You could probably connect 2 drives to each one of these ports and still get the 250 megabytes a second read speed on both of them anyway. So that's what I'm picturing, because obviously on your main PC where you're sitting and working, you want it as quiet as possible. You notice in this video, other than me talking and other than this drive spinning, there's really no noise. I do have a PC to the right over here. It's a desktop PC with no fans, and the graphics card has a beefy cooler on it, and the CPU is fanless, so there's no, nothing even, no noise coming from it. Now it's doing 260 megabytes a second. So where would be the downfall of this? Is that if you're trying to access small files, small JPEG files, I don't know about accessing your photo collection from that. Maybe you would put an SSD in here. This one can take 2 SATA SSDs on the inside. So you could put 2 4-terabyte SATA SSDs, which are about $200 a piece, and then access, let's say, your photo collection from there. And use this guy to back up your big raw files from your video editing, from the photo editing, and that should be fine. And whatever other files you do, you could do incremental backups. You could probably connect this to a Mac and do once in a while backups there. So the way that I'm describing it, using Windows, because I just don't know any better with the Linux operating systems. You know, I'm a QNAP Synology guy. Those are just out the box. You just set it up. It works with both Mac and Windows. The compatibility, whether sharing the drive on Windows, is the same. For me, it's pretty simple to share the drive the same and stuff like that. Do I have CrystalDiskMark here? Let's see, CrystalDiskMark. So I'm going to cancel the transfer of this stuff, and I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to do the CrystalDiskMark. And then I'm going to do at the same time CrystalDiskMark of the 4-terabyte SSD drive. So that's the noise that it makes doing the full read and write operation. Let's see, CrystalDiskMark. And the C drive is an SSD also, but it's not full Gen 4 speeds. So we're just gonna do the test. I'm gonna come back in a few minutes with the results from it, and this way we can compare the speed of one versus the other. And then, so the C drive obviously is faster, but these were connecting over USB. So notice the difference in the speeds, even though this probably could if it was plugged in directly into the NVMe slot on the inside. So I'm going to come back in a few minutes, and then we're going to get a conclusion. So doing CrystalDiskMark, this is the noise that it's making. Notice when we were copying big files, it really wasn't doing a big of an issue, but I just wanted to show you this. Using CrystalDiskMark, I think it's doing like random reads and writes. And, now it stopped. And I'm also doing all drives at one time. Perhaps maybe that's not the optimal thing. I just don't want to take like forever to do this. So memory, so disk 0, disk C is doing this. 27, and disk 4. Okay, so you could hear the drive. Huh. That's kind of interesting. So now the noise kind of stopped. Maybe now the writing again. Those are decent read and write speeds. I really can't say nothing bad about that. But look at that compared to the SSD drive on the USB over here. I'll be back. So here are the tests. Here's the CrystalDiskMark, the 3 side by side. So over here we have the SSD drive, this drive over here, the Samsung. That's really fast speeds. This is the C drive. If it was Gen 4, it could be slightly faster. It could be like 7,000 megabytes, but there's a Gen 3 slot on the inside. But here's what the drive consists of for these small files. Random, blah, blah, blah. You see 3 and 110, and this is 134 and 34. By the way, that's not the, that's this guy. Because in order to run the inverter, it turns on the fan. So don't think it's the actual SATA drive that's doing it. So even before, it might have been actually not, might have been this guy doing it. So long story short, here's the different outputs. These big things are fine. So if you're backing up, let's say, videos you took on your iPhone, fantastic. Probably also images too. However, when you're going to be copying back and forth from it, that speed sucks. The 1.29 and 0.97, the read and the write, compared to what we have here. Because on the inside over here, you have big platters, big circular platters that have to spin at a certain speed, and it has to catch that file, and it has to like spin around and keep putting that little write thing back and forth. Wow, HP, man, stop putting spam on my computer. So would I recommend it? It depends on what use case you're looking for. For big files, yes. Like the 700 gigs of files, it was copying very quickly. If you're copying off spreadsheets, get an SSD. I'm linking both to you below that you could check it out. This is definitely much more portable. You don't have to worry about cracking it. You don't have to have an external power supply. That's the unfortunate thing about this, guys, that you have to have for the power, you have to have an external power supply. Yeah, don't mind the Energizer. That's what it does. You know, if you're using a power bank in order to run this guy, so I would probably run it from either from the USB-C converted to the 12 volts, so it wouldn't have to run an inverter. Because that's what happens with inverters. It turns on fans. So big files, yes. Is it reasonably quiet when it's not running? So when it's not spinning any drives up, it's doing 0. But let's see, video export, gigabit. Now it's spinning it up. Now it's jumps up. By the time you access it, I don't even know if that's going to work very quickly. So trying to access the file might be a little bit slower than the SSD, of course. But price-wise, what are we talking about price-wise? That's the important factor to consider. So it takes a little while to spin up. Oh man, these guys just want money for everything. These guys are money hungry. I've had like 3 advertisements during this video alone.
Welcome, friends, to...
You can't even play a video. That's ridiculous. H.264 video. Good job, Microsoft, selling that for 99 cents. I mean, if people want to watch videos, they better pay the 99 cents up. I do feel the vibration over here on this guy. It is nice that they do have an enclosure. If you're buying an enclosure separately, that does cost money. Again, don't mind the Energizer. If it wasn't for this guy, it would be like reasonably quiet. So don't connect it through the inverter. Connect it through USB-C to 12-volt converter. I'm probably making this video longer than it should be. I just needed to test this to drive out that it works. And I guess next step of the way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to BitLocker it to make sure my files are safe on there. And now that it stopped accessing the files, the folders, it spins down and it uses 0 watts. That's kind of interesting. So when my computer like screen turned off and it went to like to sleep or whatever mode, it also worked pretty well. Like it also had 0 watts. So it sounds like this drive only spins up when it needs to spin it up to access the files. Don't expect the fastest read times, but let's say if you're watching your home movies from your iPhone or whatever, that's fine. You're backing up your files, that's great. What more can I say? There's only 2 options. There's Western Digital, and then there's this guy. So definitely much better than the drives I've had in the past. All right, friends, thumb up, subscribe, check out my other videos, links below, and I'll see you in the next one. And also put your comments down below. What do you guys think? Did you like the test? Is it better than what others did? You know, because this is the stuff that you don't see others do. Like, what power does the computer take? What power does the device take? Stuff like that. All right, friends, see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye-bye.